Hello everyone, it's Dave here from the upper tier, and today it is the first episode of the AEW Dynamite review. Now, I watched AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night, and I have to say I was quite impressed with how this show went about. Obviously, we're going full pelt into full gear in a few weeks' time. We've got Blood and Guts next week. We had Fright Night Dynamite last week, so let's take a recap. Obviously, we had the attack from Hangman on Samoa Joe. We know that there's going to be a title match between Hangman and Samoa at Full Gear. I personally am really looking forward to this one. The opening promo for Dynamite this week was absolutely fantastic because we know the chemistry that both Samoa Joe and Hangman have with each other. The promo was brilliant. Why? Because they managed to irk Joe just a little bit into getting them to defend their trios titles tonight on Dynamite. The opening was really, really good. There was a lot of energy. The crowd was really into it. The promo between Hangman and Samoa Joe, brilliant. Samoa Joe opened up by, hitting on Tony Schiavone for him thinking he has something to do with Hangman last week in costume and attacking Samoa Joe in the ring. We all knew it was Hangman, but, you got to play along a little bit. The opening match for this Dynamite was fantastic. Honestly, the booking couldn't have been better if you tried. And the reason I say that was because it was just pure simple. You had Orange Cassidy taking on Claudio Castagnoli. Now, you look at this and go, how can they book this really well? The two of them have a great chemistry in the ring, but the way they booked this was the classic David versus Goliath style matchup. It was simple. The story was simple. It was Claudio Castagnoli, who we all know has immense strength and power when it comes to being in the ring. Orange Cassidy, great technical wrestler, but again, doesn't have the same strength and power. So he's going up against this powerhouse, and he has to use every trick in the book. The finish was really good. It made Orange Cassidy look strong. It made Claudio look strong. And we all knew the outcome was going to be that Claudio was going to beat Orange Cassidy in this advantage match for the Blood and Guts next week. Now, we all know Blood and Guts is basically War Games with extreme hardcore on AEW. I, for one, am a big fan of the Blood and Guts matches. So we take a look at the next contest. That match I would give an 8 out of 10 between Orange Cassidy and Claudio Castagnoli, because that one, I would watch it again, to be honest. And I don't say that about much of AEW's matches, but honestly, it was really, really good. So, the Women's Tag Team Tournament. This was a match that I wasn't particularly looking forward to because I'm not a big fan of Mercedes 15 belts. I don't get the hype. I don't think she's all that good in the ring. But here's the thing. You partner her with someone like Athena, who we all know is fantastic in the ring. And again, once again, I apologize, guys. I am traveling at the moment. I'm currently in Dublin. All of my proper equipment, camera, microphone, everything's in Edinburgh. So I'm kind of just working off the phone right now. You'll have to forgive me for the quality if it's not that great. This tag match absolutely slapped. I went away from it thinking, okay, they proved me wrong. Monet and Athena have that great chemistry, as we all know already. But going up against Willow Nightingale, who I'm a big fan of, this was something that really, really brought home to me how good the women's division can be in AEW. I'm a big fan of Willow Nightingale. She's really come a long, long way since I first properly started looking into her at All In 2023 when she had that women's, I think it was an 8-woman tag match. Don't quote me on that now. I can't really remember the card from that night. It was a good night though. I was there in Wembley for that one. But she's just come such a long way. She's got more powerful. Her in-ring skills are absolutely fantastic now. I really enjoy looking at these women's tag matches because although we love the ones in WWE, the ones in AEW are just a little bit more technical because we don't really know where these are going at the moment because of, the women's division's always been a bit, we don't know what's going to happen. We've seen that with the title change from Tony Storm to Chris Statlander as well. So, they're keeping it that way. For me, this match was 9 out of 10. And again, this Dynamite shocked me because I'm quite critical of AEW at the moment. Their booking can be very, very drawn out. It can be really, really bad at times. None of us like the real spot fest that's going on with an AEW at times. And, you have the Ricochets and the Will Ospreys. And we all know they're high-flying technical wrestlers. We love that. But guys, slow it down. We know you're quick. We know you can do it. But just watch the pace. After that, then, Hurt Syndicate and Demand called their shot for the national championship. Now, this is a championship that's heavily disputed within the wrestling world because it is an NWA championship. There's current legal battle going on that AEW are currently losing against the NWA. So I don't know whether this is a shot from Tony Khan to the NWA using a national championship, as if, AEW needs another bloody title. They already have too many as it is. There is way too many belts within AEW. And this was a bog standard promo. Wasn't great. It did what it was intended to do, but again, it wasn't all that great. Darby Allin against Daniel Garcia. Again, this is another men's blood and guts advantage match. The first one, Claudio Castagnoli won against Orange Cassidy, so that's 1-0 to Jon Moxley and his crew. So this one was really good. I enjoy watching Darby Allin because he has that flexibility in really making you believe that he's hurt. Mick Foley did it back in the day, but Darby Allin has this ability with his body and with his body language to make you really believe this guy's getting thrashed, which is why he's happy to do these situations in the booking and matches where you think, why? So he's going up against Daniel Garcia, and of course, this whole match was based around, the predication that has Daniel Garcia join the Death Riders. This match was really, really good because it had that undertone of will Daniel Garcia kind of go the wrong way. Allen did get the win, so it's 1-1 in the advantage for the Blood and Guts, team against team for next week on Dynamite. This was one that really caught my attention because of that. I love these advantage matches that Tony Khan has put in for these Blood and Guts faction v faction cell matches, because I just love them. I just love the way one team can get an advantage. Obviously, it's 5 minutes and then every member's in there. As I said, it's just a War Games, but under a different banner. I love the Blood and Guts because it does kind of tap into my, morbid liking of, the hardcore wrestling that I grew up with in the WWF. That kind of Al Snow, Big Boss Man, Hardcore Holly, that whole little bit of the card that was always just, didn't matter. Mick Foley was the godfather of it all, still is. He is still the hardcore legend, and this kind of taps into that for me. So it lets me go back to that kind of stupid, hardcore, unnecessary ECW, WWF kind of stuff. That isn't all the time unless you're Jon Moxley who just puts, chopsticks in his head for fun. That I don't like. I'm not a fan of that. So after that, then you had the promo with FTR. Now, I'm a big fan of FTR, but they're getting a bit stale as a heel team now. They need to make a turn maybe in the new year. I wouldn't do it straight away, but they need to freshen themselves up. The heel FTR, it's just gone on way too long. It's just too drawn out. And this one was FTR literally making fun of Bandito's family. It was funny at times. There's great heat between these two. The matches that they've had are fantastic, and they got great heat from the crowd as well, which was really, really good. I love this because I love Brodito for the fact that these guys should never have chemistry. They shouldn't be as good as they are, but they are. I love Brodito. Brody is just great. I love Bandito. I always question with Bandito if he is indeed Jay White, but obviously he's not. But just he has that look, almost an identical look to Jay White with a bit of mask. So this one was great. I mean, I love Brodito as tag champs. I love FTR. But again, the heel thing's just come stale for me. This promo was really good. Got a lot of heat from the crowd. Ultimately, great promo, great build up, because this is obviously going straight towards Full Gear. Again, which is a pay-per-view I quite like. So the women's Blood and Guts match. Again, War Games was the women's match. This is going to be interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because there's so many women's wrestlers in AEW at the moment who have a lot of talent and are so good in the ring, but they very rarely get to show their personalities. They very rarely get mic time. AEW has always been great with in-ring time for the women's wrestlers. Never been great with backstage promo or mic time. That's one of the biggest failings in the women's division AEW, was the lack of screen time for wrestlers to actually show their personality, because there's so many that have come out, especially when I went to see Dynamite and Collision, the dual taping in Glasgow, in the Hydro. I was there for that, and there was so many of the women's wrestlers that were in the ring that wrestled, that I was looking at going, I don't know anything about your character. And it's not that I haven't watched, it's just they've not given any screen time. And I know time is very precious when it comes to wrestling shows, but they don't give any screen time to these female wrestlers, and some of the male ones as well, to get their personality and their characters across, to get them over with the crowd, or to get heat from the crowd, whether it's a heel or a face situation. So, this is a good situation where they can really, really show which ones are going to go the extra mile in these type of matches. I mean, it was good. The Megasis, the Venus, it was really good. It was a good match, to be fair. I really enjoyed this, and Megan Bain, Marina Shafir, Mina Shirakawa, I'm a big fan of these guys. Thelka, again, I don't know much about Thelka. I've seen her at Dynamite and Collision in Glasgow, and I look at her and went, she could be actually decent. Like, what is her character about? And this is the biggest gripe I have with AEW's women's division at the moment. World Trios Championship match, again, I am all for the chemistry between these guys. Eddie Kingston, Hook, and a Hangman Adam Page. That is a great face trio team to go up against the Ops. I really like the Ops as a heel stable. Shitty name. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a shitty ass name. They could have come up with something better. It's the same with most of the faction names in AEW. They just seem to go with the worst possible names for these. Hurt Syndicate being an exception, but that is just a twist on the WWE name of the Hurt Business. So, the faction names suck, but the factions themselves are really good. I suppose you can't have it all. But Hangman Adam Page, I love Hook. Hook is a talent that I've watched for a long time now. With the FTW Championship when I was around, TBS Championship, all that stuff. Really good talent. He's young as well. He's got plenty of time to develop. This match was really, really good. There was a lot of more than two talents in the ring at one time, and when it did go outside, the camera work and the production of this match in particular made sure you didn't miss anything. That was the one thing I took away from it, because a lot of times when you have these trios matches and you have these kind of 6-man matches, there's often times where you miss an awful lot of action in between. But the way they did the camera work for this one was really, really good. This was a really good match, good chemistry, good story as well, which started at the beginning of Dynamite right till the end. So yeah, listen, that was my review. I would give Dynamite this week a 7.5 out of 10. Really good show, really enjoyed it. I have been critical of Dynamite in the past couple of months because the booking has been all over the place. They got it right this time. They got it right this week, and I recommend watching the opening contest, Claudia Castagnoli against Orange Cassidy. I will probably watch that one again purely for the storytelling aspect, and it wasn't too fast. They let the story breathe. They gave time in between, the spots. They really did everything right in this match. And again, the women's tag, go and watch it. The last trios title match, obviously the Ops won. They're never going to drop the titles anyway. We knew that, but it was great storytelling again from the main event. So that's all from me for Dynamite this week. From the Upper Tier podcast, I'm Dave. 7.5 out of 10. I'll be back next week with Blood and Guts review. It's gonna be a hell of a one. So see you next week, and we'll see you in the Upper Tier.